My name is Aaron Blake. I am live in Dogtown. Been here about 9 years. I know that this is a question that you should be able to answer in less than 1 minute, because I am going to ask, since we've talked so much about public safety, where do you think the best money is spent with police reform? I disagree that we need way more cops than we do. While I do agree that we need to pay better, I think we should also require better training, maybe even associate's degrees or more. I feel like we can do more with public safety with the people that we have, provided that we apportion properly. So my question for you is, what is your ideal police reform, or a city that you would like to see St. Louis emulate, what they've done, how they've done it, and if you think it would work? And this is for everyone. Like I said, less than a minute.
Technically, it's Casey if you guys want to be technically, but...
Yeah, I think to echo what I've said before, and try to do it in less than a minute. So if we can build some type of oversight over the police where we can say, yeah, I trust what they're doing. I trust that what they're doing in different parts of the city, that we don't get to see on the daily is how I want to be represented and how I want my police to represent my city, and just to be, equitable and fair to everybody. And we can do that, and then once that's done, or as we're doing that, to increase salaries, increase benefits, we should make the job of a St. Louis City police officer a very high value. So we have a list of applicants that we can pick from at any time. And so that if it is a hard job, we make it hard enough that people are willing to put in the extra work, go the extra mile, and maybe do some things that they wouldn't have done 5 years ago, to make sure they're being equitable and being fair to everybody. And we'll reward them for that. And that would, I think, create a culture in the police that we all want to see, and also hopefully create a long list of applicants so that we can keep those positions filled and bring on more people if and when we need.
It goes to Joe. Yes.
We don't make decisions. Well, I would disagree. I think we need more police, and I think we need better paid police. And right now, you have police with a really bad attitude. The Board of Aldermen, although I did not vote for this, and not support it, put together a bill that's in court right now, giving IAD or police discipline over kindergarten. Okay, well, you might want to ask him about that. He supported it, outrighted. It's in court. We can write a lot of legislation that's going to go to court. All that did was just get a whole bunch more of them, man, going, I come into this hellhole and I do my effing job and I go home to Jefferson County and other places. If we're not going to pay them, and we're going to sit there and treat them like crap, you've got to really take care of your employees, whether they're the police or anything. So I disagree. I think we need more police. I think we need to treat them better. I think we need them to want to be here, not to move out of the city. They can leave the city because they are like that. And when you got a group of politicians that simply say, gee, we're going to put kindergartner over discipline for you guys, don't be surprised. They're leaving in droves every day. My son can't wait till he gets his 30 years old so he can get out. I'm just telling you, we have to change what we're doing.
Joe, can I have a follow-up real quick?
Sure.
Because I want to make clarification from something I thought I heard you say earlier. The residency requirement, I thought I heard you say earlier that you wanted to get rid of that.
I did.
But then you just said what I thought was the opposite. So
No.
Can you clarify it?
Sure, I can. The police don't have a residency rule, and they leave the city because they're treated poorly. We have to, it hasn't helped our hiring pool by letting the police leave the city, or hiring from outside the city. Although I believe if a police officer is hired, they have to live here for the first 7 years. They may have done away with that, but I do believe you still have that. What I'm talking about is, if we're going to hire street people, tree trimmers, people like that, we're going to have to expand that. You're going to find more tree trimmers, more people that are doing that kind of, maybe from Jefferson County. We need to expand our hiring pool. So these are two different things altogether. We do need to expand our hiring pool. Yes, there is no residency for police, and yes, I guess we treat all the rest of the city workers poorly, they would need to. Does that explain, or doesn't explain? I'm sorry.
I mean, sort of.
Well, I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's okay. We can talk after, but I just thought I had heard specifically the distinction, but you clarified what your intention was, and I think that is fine.
We just have to treat them better, pay them better.
Okay, very
And
good.
we'll attract more. The county is hiring our police away from us. They'll hire them tomorrow.
Okay, technically, now it's Brett. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want the original question?
I think I remember it.
Okay.
So to first address what Alderman Vaccaro said in turning over discipline to Kim Gardner's office, that's certainly not what happened in that bill. But the prosecuting attorney does get to prosecute people who she thinks may have committed crimes, and that's what was happening there. In terms of the change that I would like to see locally here, I believe it would probably be more training and more education. One of the best things that we've seen lately is the crisis intervention training, because we see when someone calls 911, there's basically three options that the 911 dispatcher has. They can send a fire truck, they can send an ambulance. If there's not a fire and someone's not hurt, they're sending a cop. And so we have to give the cops the tools that they need to actually address the problems that they face on the street. And part of that is by making sure that they're trained for all the situations that they run into, including, addiction, mental illness, whether or not someone may have a acute health crisis. There's many issues that they run into that the average person may not ever see that they're running into on a frequent basis, and we need to empower them to address those issues as they run into them. And that's what I would change to increase the public safety in the city. Thank you.
Casey, I think you have an opportunity to answer if you'd like. Did you answer? I didn't mark it out. Who's moderating this? This is the worst.
All right, go ahead.
Hi there. My name's Ryan Danner. I live in Avondale. I'm going to read off my phone just so I answer the question that I've written. So we were talking about roads a lot. One of the reasons our roads are in such bad shape is because our city is so dependent on cars to get around. The more you use the road, the more wear and tear there's going to be on it. So our street specifically, we have a lot of cars using our neighborhood as a shortcut between major roads. It's a very wide road, and so there's a lot of very fast, reckless driving. Both me and my wife had the driver's side mirror of our car knocked off within a 2-month period. So what can be done in the way of traffic calming on our streets, or encouraging alternate methods of transportation to help make the roads safer?
So that's a great question, and I think we're seeing as we see different projects come online, as roads are getting repaved, we are seeing additional infrastructure come forward for things like bikes, for things like pedestrians. One of the issues that we need to work on, frankly, is a citywide traffic calming study, because what we've seen is traffic and speeding, like the type of speeding you're talking about, is a cat and mouse game. You put speed humps on one street, the speeders move one block over, and now you have to put them on that street, and put them on that street. So what we need to do is look at the most utilized north and south routes and east and west routes throughout the city, and make sure we're engaging in traffic calming on them. We've seen this on Hampton, on the Southampton neighborhood. They did a great, they call it a road diet there. I've been talking to MoDOT and with the streets department on the hopes of being able to do something like that on Causland. There are issues there involving the highways and them backing up that MoDOT have serious questions about. But as some of you may have seen in a recent article complaining about Ward capital being underutilized around here, it's because projects like that cost upwards of $1 million, and you have to be able to utilize Ward capital for that. And if we can solve an issue that's been plaguing this community for the last 30 plus years by saving some Ward capital up, I think that's what we should be doing. We need to be looking for long-term policy, and that's how you get solutions that make sense.
Oh, that was a good question that I did write down.
Well, which way do we go? Casey,
It was, actually, I had police report, but that was the last thing I wrote down.
So,
I can ask you
then,
Please.
no, it was roads.
No, it was, you're right, I apologize. It was roads and being able to make it more accessible for not just cars. That's one of the things that's really important.
And that's one thing I would agree with, and that's something that we could use not so much the Rams money, because it's not tied to anything. We need to do a overall street study. I agree with that. I can tell you that when you take Hampton in the 23rd and the 24th ward, it's 2 lanes in each way. Till you get to the 16th ward, then it's 1 lane in each direction until you get to the next ward on the other side of Jameson, which I believe is. But anyway, you cross, or you get over there, past Walgreens, then it goes back to 2 lanes. I agree. If they would just do an overall street study and say this is what would make sense, so you don't have all the streets going 1 to 2, because it is done by, in our case, it's the neighborhood that says, do we want to stay this way? I don't know what made the decision to shrink Hampton, but it is kind of crazy when you're going down there, because I see a lot of accidents in Chippewa and in Hampton, because you're going from 4 to 1, and it does really get confusing. So yeah, that's something that should be done, and the city does have the money, and it would be a one-time expense, and that would be a good idea.
Yeah, the roads are obviously a problem, but I think the roads will always be a problem if we're forced to drive everywhere we need to go in the city. I think we really should, and it's one thing, anytime I visit another city, especially cities, that have like great public transportation, I'm just in awe of it. And I would love to see us just really kind of shift our mindset here in St. Louis to, we need to address the roads by offering more public transportation options. And that's fair, it's equitable, it's the best thing we can do for all the people in the city. And I think, we, with the new, the wards combined and the additional capital funds, we'll be able to do some of the bigger projects. And I do agree having, road survey study done, and all that stuff is very important. But I would love for every conversation to start with roads about, hey, how do we get the cars off the roads? I would love to see, obviously more MetroLink, even greater bus service, and I'm sure there's a ton of great alternatives that we just don't think about in St. Louis because we are such a car-centric city. That's kind of my biggest thing that I think about a lot is obviously fixing roads, but how do we use the roads less and need the roads less?
Hello, my name is Gordon. First off, I want to thank you guys for coming in and speaking with us, and then also thank you to everybody asking questions here, because there's been a nice wide range of them. It's actually been really hard for me to pick one question out, because as soon as I think of one, someone else has been saying it. So let's think a little bit bigger. Instead of just thinking about our board, I'll make it like a option A, option B. Option A, what kind of a specific initiative would you like to have for public transit to make people not be so car dependent, but also, this kind of leads into the project too, what kind of initiatives would you like to see the city use to lower our carbon footprint and also to be more ready for the climate change that's going to happen, with more flooding is going to be happening more often, and also climate refugees looking for places to go when Florida and the swamplands are going to become less and less inhabitable. They're going to have to go somewhere to go across the whole entire country. So how can St. Louis be more climate friendly, be able to bring in more climate refugees, and then also how can we make public transit more readily available for equity for those people? So one of those two would be great. Thanks.
I don't necessarily have a lot of specific plans. I've never been much of a public transport user because I've never really had an opportunity in St. Louis. So, like I said before, I think if we just really start to put the idea that public transportation should be, at the forefront of all the discussions when it talks about, building, new things downtown, big event spaces, things like that, and fixing roads and everything like that. How do we just avoid those problems in the first place with greater public transit? And then as far as, just reducing the our environmental footprint. We talked about trash a little bit. I think, the city has to get on board a little bit with, pushing these initiatives that, hey, like, we can pick up your trash, we can fix your roads, but are we going to do that forever? How about we find alternative ways so these aren't the ongoing expense, the ongoing issue, something every single, spring we're going to have to dodge the potholes again. I mean, all year long essentially nowadays. So really just a mind shift in the with the alderman and the city itself, I think would be a really good start and just kind of moving us in that direction.
Joe.
Well, I mean, first, it's a huge problem, but one of the things the city could do is start going to electric vehicles, and they are. The airport has always used alternative fuels. So, they use compressed natural gas and stuff like that. So one of the things, we could start going to more electric vehicles, and I believe that we are in some cases. And when I sat on the airport commission, which I did for quite a bit before I was doing Alderman, they had already been way ahead of us on all of that. Again, using alternative fuels. The city just needs to think about what they're doing. We're not going to all go out and buy an electric car because we can't afford it. We're not going to all go out and ride a bike. I'm too old and fat. I tried to ride one and I fell off. I'm not very good at it. But there are things the city can do that are simple and not all the police vehicles that we order are all big SUVs. One is very expensive, and they could think about, some of the vehicles going to as much alternative fuel, but electric vehicles. They seem to be pretty good now. My time's up.
Thank you. That's a great question, and we didn't get to where we're at in a year, and we're not going to be able to get out of it in a year. But I think that we can utilize some of the federal infrastructure dollars to invest in the north-south metro route. I would love to see light rail go north-south as well as east-west. That would help people who do want to use, whether they're bicycles, e-bikes, walk, whatever, to be able to traverse the city a little bit better. And it's kind of one of those build it and they will come situations. Washington, D.C. had a lot of debate on whether to invest in their metro. And now I don't think you'd find a resident of Washington, D.C. who would advocate for it not being there. Additionally, I did work with then Alderwoman Heather Navarro on making sure that when we're building new houses and building new commercial buildings, that they are solar panel ready. So that doesn't mean you have to put a solar panel on it. It just means it needs to be designed in such a way that you can in the future. So that as we as a society move towards electric vehicles, like I believe we probably will, and it's not going to be an overnight thing, but I think if we were to meet back here in 30, 40 years, most of us would have driven our electric vehicle here. And to make sure that we're investing in that infrastructure up front so that we can utilize it on the back end. And then to make sure that we don't do things like privatize our water, so that when those climate refugees do come, we have a city that's going to work well for them.
Okay, so we're going to shoot for 2 more questions, but maybe just one, so if you guys can try to keep it snappy, that'd be great.
No promises. No, just kidding. Nick McCool. I'm actually from a neighborhood over, but the basic necessities of the potholes, the house down the street, the grass, that's top of mind for me. Those are bare minimum as far as I'm concerned. But with the wards reducing, less aldermen and alderwomen or people like present, I think the fiefdoms and the silos of the wards and the neighborhoods are part of how we got in this problem. Like the crime or any issues don't stop, on Filer or on
Hampton or Loughborough or whatever. So what's the one initiative, if you could pick just one, you only have one bill that gets passed in this next session, that this citywide would really work to curb either the biggest problem or the one that you're the most passionate about? Thank you.
Well, my hope is that I can pass this bill before this current session ends. But one of the things that I've been working on for several years now is lead abatement. And now we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with these infrastructure dollars to make sure that we are dealing with lead, both in lead pipes and the environmental lead. We know that kids in the city of St. Louis are exposed to lead at much higher rates than kids in other areas of the country. Lead exposure is irreversible, and it decreases IQ, and it makes people more prone to violence. And with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reduce the blood level content of children in the city of St. Louis, I think that that is an investment that will double down on itself over and over, because once we remediate that issue, every generation moving forward will not be exposed to that lead. And so our children, their children, their children's children will all be better off for it. And we're at a once-in-a-lifetime place right now where we do have the money sitting, waiting to be utilized. And so we can take on a project of that scope, which is massive, and we can do it with the assistance of the federal government. And I hope that we can get that done, because if we don't, I fear that we never will.
As on the board, I kind of am spending a lot of time figuring out exactly what I can do right now. Like I said, coming from St. Charles, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to make change. So for me, I'm learning how involved I can actually be, and the policies that I can be a part of, and the things that I can do to make the ward better, but definitely the city as a whole. And it's exciting right now. I'm hearing things about universal basic income and things like that I think policies like that maybe aren't necessarily my place in our ward to write a bill or present a bill like that, but I'd like to be the person that supports those types of things and make sure that everyone in our ward is informed of what these things are, and that these types of things are going to, again, lift up everyone at the bottom here, and that's really going to lift everyone up in the whole city. That's going to provide more opportunity to spread the resources around the city and just make sure that we are all getting the most out of our tax dollars. So that's kind of the biggest policy that I have, that I've kind of put some thought into as far as moving forward and the way that I can really help the city as a whole.
So I think lead abatement is a good idea. Some of the concerns that some that they feel like it could make some people that can't afford, say you live in an old home and you don't have the money, the concern is it can make somebody homeless. Say you can't live in this house because of lead, so that's what the working with Larry Rice, and it passed. We actually, well, Greg can tell you because he's with me, we bring about 100 plus homeless people in the city hall up until COVID, 30 seconds. We were working with them.
We're going to do closing statements. Okay? You got a question?
Casey, I have it written down. Yeah, Casey, you're first.
This is really not a question. I just want to thank Bret and Joe for being honest, saying that we need more police and we need to get crime, because you don't get crime settled in the streets and nothing matters. Don't matter if you got trash, your trash cans, or what street page, doesn't matter. And then when Casey said that if the police get a harder job to get paid, the police are doing a hard job. I'm not a policeman. They are doing a hard job. I just think the more police will help us a lot. And you didn't answer the question about if the Alderman were going to get 72,000 credible or not. You didn't answer that one.
If I support that?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm pretty different. I'm not on the board. I don't think I need any more money, but I don't know how hard your job is specifically. If you guys presented it for some reason, then maybe I'd hear it from you, but no, I can't imagine why I would need that kind of money to do a part-time job.
I live in France Park, on McCausland, drag strip. Always accidents. There's no police, none. There used to be traffic control, a little bit. Zero. Okay, so, I have this message. I don't know who else gets these texts. Look out, STL, subject, shots fired, Manchester Avenue, McCausland. Got a tip? Okay, well, yeah, I do have a tip. I click on that little number, nothing. There's no answer on this number. So, I don't even know where this comes from, truly. But who do you call? What do you call? Fire, shots fired. I get this, like at 12, 2 in the morning, accidents. We have accidents in front of our house all the time. We're right next to that Middle Street church. So you come in, they pull into the parking lot, they're there, the cars are all mashed up, and, it's horrible. Horrible. So, really, we don't know what to do. That's McCausland. Karen, she was awesome. I used to call her, I used to text her. She was helpful. But I don't know. We don't get any help. We really don't from the neighborhood. There's people getting their, we always say, the cars are getting, mashed in and the windows broken for no reason. They don't even take anything. They're just trashing cars. And it's I don't know. We don't know what to do, so thank you.
Anybody want to comment?
So that's been one of the biggest issues that I've seen during my time on the board is McCausland in general. One of the issues with it is the overall speeds on the road. It makes it very, very difficult for an officer to do traffic enforcement. I've talked to Captain Marks about this in the past when she was the District 2 captain. I've talked to Captain Mueller about it now. And the issue is that it's basically an officer safety issue. So we have kind of a chicken-egg situation happening with the speeds and with the proximity to the highway there. I think that we need to figure out how to calm that traffic and make it safer for an officer to make traffic stops on so that we can get increased traffic enforcement through there. And as far as the folks, breaking windows and stuff, I think again that goes back to it's catch and release right now, and we need a circuit attorney who actually is going to follow through.
Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to know. What about guns? It's like people have guns. You know what you should have do something. People bring their joy.
Anyone who tells you that they're going to solve that issue at the local level is lying to you. We need to talk to the folks at the state level about that, and the feds, frankly. Yeah, exactly.
I'll do my 1 minute fast deal. The way that we're going to stop people from breaking the windows out of your car and looking, we need to encourage all of our neighbors to park smart. Just if you go to Schnucks and they don't have what you want, you're going to start going to Deerbirds. We kind of have a thing in the Lindenwood group that we put out, park smart. We're still having some of this stuff, but if people don't leave things in the car, the criminals will quit coming to that neighborhood knowing, well, we've been breaking cars all night, we're not going to get anything. Unfortunately, even if you don't leave anything in your car, they're going to break into a bunch trying to play the odds that somebody's going to have something. Always try to encourage your neighbors to park smart as far as that goes. And I'll stop because she's looking at me like that.
Yeah, I mean, the things that you mentioned are the exact same things that I see, and a lot of the reason, I try not to make this about myself, but yeah, I see those problems, and I've had my cars burglarized both in the city and Clifton Heights, and had my building burglarized. And, these things happen, and I'm kind of dumbfounded. I don't know what to necessarily do either. So for me, as I spend a lot of time looking into these situations, figure out what we can do and learning as I go, I guess my point is I'm fired up as well, and I'm here because those things are happening in the place that I want to live and I want to call home for a long time, and we have to address them. And maybe they're being addressed and it's not working. Maybe they're not being addressed at all. Maybe they need a fresh pair of eyes, and that's why I'm here. And I'm going to look at these things in a different perspective than maybe everyone else has on the board, and provide a little bit different input.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys. Those are really great questions from the audience. I really appreciate everyone's participation. We actually ran out of time, which is really great. We're going to do the closing statements now. We're going to do them in the same order that we started with, in the filing order. So you have 1 minute. Everybody was very conscientious of time, so nobody lost their closing statements. We appreciate that. So thank you. So Joe, we'll have you start, and then Bret, and then Casey.
I'll make it really simple because I can't get into the homeless issue, but I'd like to talk about that. But if you want a full-time alderman, this is the only job I have, that is satisfied with the pay, that will be there, that has one phone number and one phone number only. Same when my family calls me on. People text me on during the meeting. I was getting calls, I couldn't answer it. 314-718-0131, and I'll give it to everybody after the meeting again. 314-718-0131. I'm there. I mean, I am there. My neighbors call me. I get calls at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm there. If you want a full-time alderman that has no other job, that is dedicated and in love with this neighborhood, grew up in this neighborhood, had my business in the neighborhood, our family snow cone stand was on Watson. It's now Murray's. We sold to them. If you want an alderman that will be working for you, for this neighborhood, that's me.
Thank you. So just to address that last statement briefly, there's not a person on the Board of Aldermen who doesn't do this full time. There's no way to do it with the amount of meetings that you're going to, both committee meetings, board meetings, and neighborhood meetings. I go to 5 neighborhood meetings a month, 2 business association meetings a month, all the committee meetings, the board meetings. And through that, I've been able to amplify the voices that I hear there and build coalitions at the Board of Aldermen. And that's allowed me to pass legislation that's led to us all breathing cleaner air right now, to change the way that we deal with asbestos in the area, which causes mesothelioma. We've reformed antiquated marijuana laws because 93% of the people in the 24th Ward wanted to. And I intend to continue to build those coalitions, and I think as we get down to 14, that coalition building is going to be even more important. Because again, we don't want a dumpster czar for 26,000 dumpsters. We want someone who's going to carry St. Louis into the 21st century. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone that for having me here. I'm very humbled to be a part of this even, and I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people over the weeks, the past few weeks here the Dems and just throughout the community, and it's been great to feel accepted and feel welcomed and just to feel like they want me to at least see what I can do and see how I can differentiate myself from the rest of the candidates. And if nothing more, shake things up around here. Having 2 incumbents and no one running unopposed, things like that, is never good for democracy. It's never good for the people. So I think that I know that I can do a good job for you. I've done this before, and I have the time and the energy and the excitement and kind of the desire and the drive that I think that all of you guys have. And because we all see the same issues, and we all want the city to be somewhere we can go around the nation and brag about and be happy, and proud to say where we're from. And I think we can do that, and I think there's a lot of great things on the horizon. And I don't think I get penalized for going over at this point anymore, so I can keep talking. I just really I look forward to getting the opportunity to meet you guys. And I'm gonna work hard throughout this campaign and try to get to your doors and just give you an opportunity to give me a fair chance and yeah, see what I can do for the city of St. Louis. Thank you. So once again, thank you to these three candidates for coming and for y'all did your job, you grilled them. That's what we need to do. We're gonna put them in office. We're gonna put somebody in office. One more time, thank you to the Mason School for hosting us and for everybody who helped get this together, especially people who asked questions or submitted them ahead of time. Once again, we're your open ward organization with the 4th Ward Democrats. We're going to endorse one of these candidates. That vote's going to happen tomorrow, and then it's going to close Sunday. After we endorse a candidate, we will, whoever we endorse, we will go knock doors for them and try to make sure that that person gets elected and make it known to the rest of St. Louis, this is who our open ward organization endorsed. So if you want to be a part of that, please come join our organization, come be a member.
One question.
Go for it.
Previously, the candidates we did ranked choice voting for the org. Are we still doing ranked choice voting?
That's a good question. We are not. No. So gotta move for one.
Very good, thanks.
So we're gonna get the ballot.
Am I good? Yeah, the ballot will be via email. It's a good question. Got two over here.
When do you need to pay dues by in order to vote in this election?
Pay dues hopefully by tonight to vote this election. If you are having trouble paying dues, please just come talk to us. That's something we're pretty flexible about. I saw you.
Real quick, would you define open ward?
Define open ward.
You said you're an open
Yes.
ward organization.
So opposite of open is closed. Closed would mean that Justin and I go outside and pick who we endorse, and then we put that on the internet, and that's that. Open means anybody who wants to be a member can vote, and we respect the majority vote of our members. And if we don't get a majority, we keep voting until we get a majority on one candidate.
Join. How many votes do you have? Husband and wife, they both get to vote? Or
One vote per person.
one vote for membership or for
Per membership.
Per member, yes. Then you both get to vote. Yeah. Okay, just go for it. Our next meeting is, we meet on Wednesdays at SEIU Local 1 in Clifton Heights, the third Wednesday of the month at 6:30. And if you want more information on that, you can check us out on Facebook. Come talk to us. February 15th specifically is the next one.
Will the link be emailed out to vote, or how do we vote?
Justin will email the link out after this meeting to anyone who's on the rolls, which you can get on by talking to us.
Yeah, make sure you're either scanning this, which leads you to Act Blue. You can become a member online, or find preferably either me or Justin, and we'll get you signed up as a membership if you want to pay in cash. You got to do that in person.
We can do cash, just come talk to us.
Yeah, signed up.
And just to reiterate,